Oh, hi! It's the weekend. And twofer? Or maybe not. So, for the past weeks, I guess we've talked about more fifth gen groups, more new groups actually. And, well, I think we're going to be continuing that trend. Now, I guess one group that I'd like to talk about is a group that I've always wanted to talk about a lot of groups. But then again, this is a group that actually I didn't really like in the start until it actually kept growing on me. And that group is what is called KiiKii. Now, KiiKii is five-member South Korean group under Starship Entertainment. Now, what is Starship Entertainment? Well, one of their most famous artists is the group IVE. Now, this group is part of Fifth Gen, and they actually just started. They actually started last March, March 24, if I'm not mistaken. And this features five members, and yes, since it's five, I can remember them. It's Jiyu, Lee Sol, Sui, Hayum, and Kaya. Now, their ages range between the age of 20 and 20, three girls age 19, and we've got one who is 15. Their youngest is 15. Now, they also released their EP, their mini album called Uncut Gems last March. And that EP is actually pretty that EP is actually pretty extensive because it has 6 songs. Now, one thing about KiiKii is that despite their short tenure, they have already released um, four. They have already previously released 4 music videos already. They had the debut song, which is basically like their debut music video. They had their title track, "I Do Me." There's also BTG, or Been That Girl, and Groundwork. Now, 2 days ago they just recently released their most recent comeback, which is a single, not part of the album, and that single is called "Dancing Alone." Now, I guess what's so special about KiiKii? Well, one thing about KiiKii is that uh, I would say that their sound is I would say it's pretty experimental. It's not the usual bubblegum pop. It's not the cute concept. They are cute, very beautiful actually. I would say Jiu's very beautiful, especially with her shortcut hair. Um, it's not bubblegum pop. It's not dreamcore. Definitely not dreamcore. They're not girl crush. They're not R&B. I would say they're I would say they're pretty much experimental in a sense that I would actually put them in a group like musically like NMix, because NMix has always been pretty experimental in their music. Though granted, recently they have with High Horse and um, that song where they keep doing "Show me, you show me." Okay, sorry. It's starting They're starting to get a lot more mainstream success and mainstream recognition. But for KiiKii itself, it is a big mix. Let's just do their four previous music videos: "I Do Me," "BTG," "Groundwork." At least for those three, debut song is pretty much like a debut song. So "I Do Me" is very indie. It's very I would say it's pretty yeah, I would say it's a pretty indie song. But BTG and Groundwork has added a lot of rap in it. They're very rappy, but it's rappy but not hip hop. It's not like All Day Project hip hop. It's rappy, yes, but it's more like a like trap style, and also part anthemy. Now, I I initially didn't like "I Do Me" because I found I found it pretty I honestly found it a pretty lackluster until it started growing on me when I was listening to more of their songs. And just 2 days ago, so you have an indie style sounding song, and you've got two rappy songs, which is not very hip hop, but I Do Me has a lot of synth in it as well. But then comes Dancing Alone. Now, their music, there seems to be they seem to be having a music video style, which is they're all on location. It's on they're not using like green screen sets. They're really in location. Like in I Do Me, they're basically in countryside. But for Dancing Alone, it's more like a school, in a school type, and they're in uniform. And one thing that I liked about Dancing Alone is it sounded very 80s. I'm an old guy, yes, and I was able to watch those 80s movies, but I watched them as a kid. But when I turned teens and in my 20s, watching those movies again, watching those 80s films and 80s shows again, it's very synth heavy, and it just sounded Dancing Alone sounded so much like that, like those old flash dance type songs, and flash dance, these 80s school movies like Ferris Bueller, those heavy synth, and that's how they did their Dancing Alone. And the moves, their dance, it's very simple. Actually, all their music videos are very, very simple. It's just them, different shots of them, very well, very well cinematography, very good cinematography. It doesn't really tell much of a story. Actually, all their music video doesn't really tell much of a story, but it blends with the music, especially with Dancing Alone. Their movements, every time they start doing their dance, it always fits. The setting fits, and I would say that it's an experience. You don't really have much to say about storytelling and how it's made up, but I would say it's an experience, and that got me back into appreciating what KiiKii really has, and that's an eclectic style. Their dance, their choreography is also pretty eclectic, as they don't do hip hop choreography. They're rapping, yes, but their moves are still very crisp. They're not doing the hip hoppity style of their movements. And I would say that their music itself is pretty niche, but then again, it is being recognized. They've recently won their first music show win for I Do Me, so that means they got recognized. The fandom name is called KiiKii, because like KiiKii is actually, like they said, it's the sound of giggling. Girls give giggling. So their fandom name's KiiKii, and I would say that they did not. I would say that this would be a slow burn kind of group, wherein you see them start building their fandom, building their music, and their eclectic music type is what's going to make them different from the fifth gen. And I listened to them already, but then again, it is just now. It took me actually April, May, June, July, August. It took me 5 months to just appreciate them, and now I love it. I love their music. I love Dancing Alone. For me, it's actually my favorite song for now, Dancing Alone, but it's a single. And I'd like you to try them out, because their experimental, eclectic sound is what's gonna make them different here in 5th Gen. And one thing I'd like to say is that 5th Gen has everything. We've got hip hop, dreamcore, we've got KiiKii, and I would say it's a very, you've got it all. And KiiKii is going to fit your niche if you're looking for something experimental or something eclectic, which is done right.